Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm excited this afternoon to be talking to someone I've known a long time, and it's been a while since we talked. Jane Wesman. Hello, Jane.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how are things in New York City?
I think they're fine, but right now I'm in Miami Beach.
Oh, you're one of the New Yorkers who came down. I did not know you were in Miami Beach.
Yeah. Well, the pandemic changed everything in my life and my business. Not in my life with my husband, but in terms of where we've been working. And so in March 2020, I left New York. I still have an office there, and I'm very lucky. I have a place on Long Island, and I worked out there. And for this winter, we have a place in Miami Beach, and that's where I'm talking to you from.
Well, that's fantastic. I wish I'd known you were down there, because I just had a grand opening on an art show over there in the Wynwood district. And so it's still over there in February. We'll have to send you the details.
Are you an artist now?
Oh, yeah. Paint, photography, all of that stuff. So, I bore quickly. So I've always done 40 different things. But anyway, so you're a Miami person. This is great. Well, we'll have to get together when I go back if you're still down there. But very exciting. It's a short drive. It's a fairly short drive down from Palm Beach, when I'm on the East Coast. So let's tell people who you are. You're a book marketer. And the reason you and I know each other is because you did the marketing for Serial Winner in 2015 when it came out, did a fantastic job and got it up to bestseller and all of that stuff. So thank you for that. And
You're welcome.
it's still rolling on Amazon, and you had your own PR firm, and you're one of the country's top experts on book publicity and have an incredible lineup of national bestsellers, especially in business management, personal growth. And some of the people, Peter Drucker, Stephen Covey, Marcus Buckingham, Charles Schwab, you have some, you worked with some pretty powerful people, and you've got your own book. Dive right in, The Sharks Won't Bite. And so we'll talk about other things you've done a little later, but congratulations on your career. And the one thing, Jane, that I admire about you, and what this is all about, this is about giving back, sharing, and giving behind the scenes, real world insight to people coming up who want to know what's the real truth. Not the book stuff, not the prepackaged, not a formula some professor in a college came up with, but that, by the way, usually they've never done anything themselves, but they love writing about it as if they know what they're talking about. And it's different hearing from someone who has survived the wars and successfully gotten into a profession they enjoy, they're good at, and done well. And whatever profession you want to get in, there's a lot of people who want to be in that profession, but to get in it, learn the basics, move up the ladder, and then stay there, quite an achievement. So congratulations on that. And, the thing that I notice, which is about you, you are particularly well organized, and you do know how to set yourself up for success. And as a result, when people come to you for direction and advice, you're able to set them up for success. And how did you learn that, you've got to be mentally organized? What we say is you can't play basketball like Michael Jordan, but you can copy the way he thinks, or Tiger Woods in the golf course. You can copy the way they think about things and stay on track. So how did you get yourself mentally organized and pick up those ingredients that have allowed you to, set boundaries and be productive?
Wow. Okay, that's a tough question
Yeah.
because I think I grew up organized. I think I believe it's the way that I've thought. So I've always looked for ways to be organized. And but I would tell people if I wanted to give them advice would be to set priorities. So think about what's really important for you to do, whether it's in your life or your business or your relationships. So I think the first thing is to figure out what's important and then focus on those things. I use, and I taught, in building my business, I taught my team to be very well organized. It was something that was very important to me and also to the senior people who work for me. So we were always creating systems to make sure that everybody on our team was organized.
Now, why do you think, because it's obvious, once you get that in your head, the earlier you can get that in your head, that you can't do things differently every time. You can't build consistently unless you settle into a groove of patterns and things like that. And whatever it is, once you get a system down, a pattern, a way of doing it, then you can improve. You can get better because you're going to be doing it the same way over and over. But what do you think that you started off that way? You grew up that way. What was it that formed that? You'd say. Hey, listen, there's a lot of information online, but there aren't a lot of people who've actually done something. In my case, I've actually built a successful business that's accrued over $5 billion in assets under management and has done well even during trying times. Now, if you want to know exactly how I've done this, go to whitelmwinning.com/webinar now. I've compressed a decade of learning into 5 short weeks just for those of you who want to give yourself an incredible advantage and are tired of waiting and watching others move up.
I think I could see it in my schoolwork. I mean, I can't say I loved going to school. I did well in school, but I stayed organized in school. I'm going to have to assume it's my parents and how we were raised. My parents were no nonsense people. We had a lot of leeway in our home, but we couldn't. We couldn't come home and tell them stupid stuff. My father would always jump on me and say, where did you learn that? Where did you hear that? So I don't know if this is about being organized, but it was, he taught me that where you get your information from is very important. So I think that also helps you be organized because, again, it helps you focus on what you need to know and what you need to do. Also, I've studied, as a kid, I studied dance, I studied art, and then I got into sports. And so as a skier, a tennis player, and a golfer, you definitely need to be organized because I learned all 3 of those sports as an adult. Therefore, I had to take a series of lessons. And when I found the pros who were really good at teaching me, they always had a method and a system. And so I learned to follow those systems. And truthfully, in business, I've got a lot of sports analogies because I learn a lot when I'm playing golf or playing tennis in particular that I then apply to what goes on in my business.
Yeah, where do you play golf down in Miami?
We live right near the Miami Beach golf course, so we play. It's 2 blocks from where I live, so that's where we play, and it's amazing because it's a public course, but it's maintained like a private course. It's fantastic.
Wow. I've never played there, but
it's worth it if you're down here. Give it a shot.
Yeah. And I'm gonna see if I can get you up to Palm Beach. We'll play Trump International. And
are you serious? My husband would be so excited.
I'm dead serious. Let's see if you're there in the spring. Let's do it. And so the thing is that professionals, let's just talk about the fact of professionals. One thing, people say, what's a professional? Professional, one way if you look at it, a professional is somebody who knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And then beyond that, they get themselves to do it, whether they feel like it or not. And that's how they gives them consistency. And sometimes amateurs can beat in any given day, any given match. Amateur can luck up and beat a pro, and the pro can be off some way or something tired or coming off a trip, but not going to beat them consistently. It's going to be a one-time thing. And so being a professional is really what people who want to be great at anything need to be aspire to. They need to have that. It helps you lock in on who's a pro. I want to be a pro. You can't control the results, but you can control how you go after things, don't you think?
Yeah, along with what you were saying, I was thinking about winning and what I think it takes to win, Larry. And I came up with 3 things. And actually it's interesting because they relate to sports and I hadn't even thought about it when I wrote this down. 3 things that I believe it takes to win: commitment, discipline, practice. So you have to be committed to what you're doing. So as an amateur, on the day that you wake up and you don't feel like skiing or playing golf or tennis, just commit to it. Go out there. And I like to break things down into little pieces. So, if I've got a 7:30 a.m. tennis game and I was out late the night before and I'm thinking, how am I ever going to, excel on the tennis court at 7:30 a.m.? What I do is I tell myself, I'm going to warm up. I'm going to take it step by step. And I think breaking down big problems into smaller pieces helps you commit to moving towards the solution and just makes it a lot easier, takes the stress off you. And then you need discipline. You really have to do it. But above all, I think you need practice. I think you need to be disciplined and practice doing whatever it is you want to succeed at.
I've heard many times along the way, because I took up skiing and golf later in life too, because, unfortunately, I was working like a dog earlier. And the thing is, I've heard all along that no one escapes the repetitions, and that's the practice. And like Bjorn Borg, remember when he was winning tennis in Wimbledon, he won like 5 or 6, 7 in a row. And then at 29 or something, he retired. And everybody said, "You're out of your mind. What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I love playing Wimbledon. I just don't love practicing 6 hours a day to keep the edge so I can play at Wimbledon." And that's something that most people miss, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do. In golf, I always think about the golf pro who practiced a particular shot 1,000 times,
Yeah.
so that when they have to make that small chip and they want it to go onto the green near the pin, they've practiced that shot so many times. The same things happens in business. I learned to be a professional sometimes by making mistakes, but always by going for it, always committing to my job, having the discipline to do what I had to do, not to blow it off. And I had to practice. I got better and better at writing press releases, for example. I got better and better at sales, at getting new business. I got better at managing people because I kept practicing. So in a certain way, learning on the job is a form of practice. Do it, go for it, try it.
If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelmwinning.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.